This is the third of 3 videos about the coastal forest on Sullivan's Island. This video discusses the different types of wildlife that have been seen in and depend on the coastal forest. This little loggerhead sea turtle is making his way to the water after being hatched on Sullivan's Island. The barrier island is where many sea turtles lay their eggs, and it's caring volunteers like Alina Bugas who help the tiny threatened species in their first moments of life.
One of the best memories I had when I was little growing up here was being able to, every summer we would come out here and we would just camp out on the beach for nights, waiting for the sea turtles to hatch, because we didn't really have the technology to know exactly what day they were going to come and what time. So it was just, I loved it.
Sea turtles lay their eggs in the dunes that are part of the coastal forest. Butterflies also use the vegetation as they go about pollinating other plants. These species, along with other types of wildlife, are dependent on this ecosystem for survival.
I've seen 2 large does browsing in the underbrush. I've heard foxes yipping. I never know what I'm going to see as I come down the path. Some days it's rabbits, some days it's bald eagles, some days it's deer. I mean, you just never know. It's always a surprise, and there's always something to see.
When you take a walk through the coastal forest, you might, on occasion, see a small animal, like a rabbit or a ground dove. But on almost every occasion, you're going to see and hear the birds. Ecologists say that this maritime ecosystem is vital for migratory seabirds and songbirds.
A variety of birds really like that shrubby habitat, so it's important to note a variety of types of habitats. You'll have the open beaches, the shrub maritime forest, and then you're moving into a taller forest, and that's all part of what birds and other animals are going to be using. And again, particularly the birds, you hear a lot of them right here in this area.
Migratory songbirds are thought to be highly dependent upon maritime forest and maritime shrub thickets because they migrate in the fall and they migrate along the coast, and they depend upon the thickets provided by the shrubs and the canopy and so forth provided by the forest to find food and shelter from weather as well as shelter from predators.
Biologists call this land a complicated system that supports a complicated group of animals and plants that are all dependent on each other. They say if one element of the ecosystem is removed, the entire balance could suffer.
Birds, for instance, spread the seeds from the plants if they eat fruit. They help control insect populations, so everything kind of fits together. And as you move up the food chain, the birds of prey I was talking about, if they eat a songbird, that songbird was created in part from insects or fruit from native plants that it consumed. So it moves the energy up toward the top of the food chain.
What we've seen is a real evolution of the kind of wildlife here. We've gone from small rodents and little reptiles to now full mammals and predatory hawks and eagles, and it's really exciting to watch the evolution.
Watching the progression of life in the coastal forest has motivated young Alina. She plans to study marine biology in college.
Being able to grow up here has inspired me to become more involved in the environment. A lot of people don't realize, that they're so lucky to have this. And growing up here when I was little, now that I think back on it, I'm so lucky to be able to have this experience.
It is vital that everyone commit to being a good steward of the coastal forest. By joining together, we can preserve this land for our children and grandchildren. This video was produced by the Sullivan's Islanders Group. Learn more about the group at www.sullivansislanders.com.